జైబీ మూవీ లాస్ట్ సీన్లో సూర్య ముందు ఒక పాప పేపర్ తీసుకొని నవ్వుతూ చదువుతుంది. ఒక్కసారి కళ్ళు మూసుకొని ఆ పిక్చర్ గుర్తు తెచ్చుకోండి. ఆ పాప స్మైల్తో మనకి విద్య ఎంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ అనేది చక్కగా అర్థమవుతుంది. దీస్ ఆర్ ద రైట్స్ విచ్ ఎవ్రీ చైల్డ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ పర్సన్ irrespective of their privilege need to enjoy. On that note, we are going to discuss about fundamental rights today. Welcome to the third episode of Voice of Civil Services, Rights in the Constitution, our Civic Center's very own podcast where we delve into the heart of the Indian Constitution to understand fundamental rights. I'm your host, and in this episode, we will explore various fundamental rights, their protection, the judiciary's role in safeguarding them, and how they differ from the directive principles of state policy. So, let's get started. So, before we get to the main part, first of all, why do we need fundamental rights at all? As we talked earlier, Constitution is not only about the composition of various organs of government and the relations among them. However, it is also a document that sets limits on the powers of the government. So, the Constitution ensures a democratic system in which all persons enjoy certain rights, and these rights set limits on what the government can do. Now, let's move on to the second question. What are the fundamental rights provided to us? See, the Indian Constitution was adopted on 26 January 1950, which lays foundation for our nation's governance. Part 3 of the Constitution is dedicated to fundamental rights, which are a set of basic liberties that every citizen is entitled to. Before dwelling into them, first let us know against whom these rights are given. Mainly, rights are given against the arbitrary action of the state. For your information, state ante Andhra Pradesh Telangana kaadu. Under Article 12, the state includes the government and Parliament of India and the government and the legislature of each of the states and all local and other authorities within the territory of India or under the control of the government of India. Now, cricket anedi mana India lo oka religion. But does BCCI come under the definition of the state? The answer is no. In Zee Telefilms versus the Union of India case, it is adjudged that BCCI is not dominated financially, functionally, or administratively by the government. So, what is your opinion? Do BCCI need to come under the state or not? Anyway, Law Commission in one of its reports suggested to bring it under the definition of the state. Then, we were talking about rights. What if our rights are violated? ఎవరైనా నన్ను డిస్క్రిమినేట్ చేస్తే నేను ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి? See, the Constitution gave you the right to go to Supreme Court directly if your fundamental rights are violated. Remember, Supreme Court ki directగా, హైకోర్టుకి కూడా వెళ్ళొచ్చు, కానీ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ అట్మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఇచ్చి సుప్రీం కోర్ట్కి వెళ్ళే రైట్ ఇచ్చింది. అది మళ్ళీ మనం డీటెయిల్గా తెలుసుకుందాం. నౌ కమింగ్ టు ద పాయింట్, దేర్ ఆర్ 6 fundamental rights enshrined in our constitution. Firstly, the right to equality, which ensures that all citizens are equal before the law and prohibits discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. It provides for equal access to public places like shops, hotels, places of entertainment, wells, bathing guards, and places of worship. There cannot be any discrimination in this access on the basis of caste, creed, color, sex, religion, or place of birth. It also prohibits any discrimination in public employment on any of the above mentioned basis. See, this right is very important because our society did not practice equal access in the past. రీసెంట్గా 5-judge బెంచ్ ఆఫ్ సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ ఈడబ్ల్యూఎస్ రిజర్వేషన్ 3:2 మెజారిటీలో అప్హోల్డ్ చేశారు. ద 103rd అమెండ్మెంట్ దట్ బ్రాట్ ఈడబ్ల్యూఎస్ రిజర్వేషన్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ ఆర్టికల్ 15 clause 6, an enabling provision for the state to make special provisions for any economically weaker sections of citizens other than those mentioned in the previous 2 clauses, namely the socially and educationally backward classes and scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. నౌ అన్టచబిలిటీ, అస్పృశ్యత. లీడర్ సినిమాలో చెప్పినట్టు 70 ఏళ్ల స్వాతంత్ర భారతదేశంలో అంటరానితనమా? ఛ, ఎంత మూర్ఖత్వం, ఎంత ధైర్యం. ఈ డైలాగ్ పెట్టడానికి గల కారణం మనకి రైట్ టు ఈక్వాలిటీ అనేది ఫండమెంటల్ రైట్. అండ్ ఎవరికి వేరే వారిని, అది జాతి గురించి కావచ్చు, లింగభేదం గురించి కావచ్చు, మతం గురించి కావచ్చు, కులం గురించి కావచ్చు, తక్కువ చేసే హక్కు అస్సలు లేదు. అందులోనూ అంటరానితనం పూర్తిగా నిషేధించారు. Now, the practice of untouchability is one of the crudest manifestations of inequality. This has been abolished under the right to equality. The same right also provides that the state shall confer no title on a person except those who excel themselves in military or academic fields. Thus, right to equality strives to make India a true democracy by ensuring a sense of equality of dignity and status among all its citizens. Also, the Constitution clarifies that the government can implement special schemes and measures for improving the conditions of certain sections of the society. Now, what are these sections? The sections might be children, women, and the socially and educationally backward classes. You might have heard about reservations in jobs and in admissions. You would have wondered why there are reservations if we follow the principle of equality. In fact, Article 16 Clause 4 of the Constitution explicitly clarifies that a policy like reservation will not be seen as a violation to right to equality. This is required for the fulfillment of the right to equality of opportunity. Then comes the right to freedom. Equality and freedom are the two rights that are most essential to a democracy. This includes the freedom of speech and expression, the right to assemble peacefully, the right to form associations or unions, and the right to move freely throughout the country. See, freedoms are defined in such a manner that every person will enjoy her freedom without threatening the freedom of others, and also without endangering the law and order situation. The foremost right among rights to freedom is the right to life and personal liberty. No citizen can be deprived of their life except through a lawful procedure as prescribed by the law. Similarly, personal liberty is protected and no one can be arrested without being informed of the grounds for their arrest. The arrested individual has the right to defend themselves with the assistance of a lawyer of their choice. Also, the police must present the arrested person before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours for a fair assessment of the arrest justification. See, the judiciary has played a very crucial role in expanding the scope of the right to life and personal liberty. The Supreme Court has ruled that this right includes living with human dignity and being free from exploitation. It encompasses the right to shelter and livelihood, as no one can live without the means of sustenance. Now, let's touch upon a small topic called preventive detention. ఏ క్రైమ్ చేయకపోయినా కానీ కొన్నిసార్లు ఏంటంటే పోలీసులు హౌస్ అరెస్ట్ చేసి డీటైన్ చేస్తారు కదా. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళ ప్రీవియస్ ట్రాక్ రికార్డ్ వల్ల సొసైటీకి డేంజర్ పొంచి ఉందని ప్రూవ్ చేయగలిగినప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి అగెయిన్స్ట్గా వారెంట్ తీసుకోవచ్చు. బిలీవ్ మీ, ఇండియా ఈజ్ ద ఓన్లీ డెమోక్రటిక్ కంట్రీ టు హ్యావ్ దట్. నౌ, preventive detention is an exceptional measure that allows the government to arrest someone based on the apprehension that they may engage in unlawful activities. As a remedy, Constitution has given a fundamental right to protect against states' arbitrary powers. See, preventive detention can be extended for up to 3 months only, after which a review is conducted by an advisory board. While this may seem effective in dealing with anti-social elements, there have been concerns about the misuse of this by the government. This calls for greater safeguards to prevent its misuse against the individuals who are not genuinely posing a threat. You can see that under the right to freedom, there are some other rights as well. These rights, however, are not absolute. Each of these are subject to restrictions imposed by the government. For example, right to freedom of speech and expression is subject to restrictions such as public order, peace and morality, etc. Freedom to assemble too is to be exercised peacefully and without arms. The government may impose restrictions in certain areas, declaring the assembly of 5 or more persons unlawful. Such powers can be easily misused by the administration. The genuine protest against an act or a policy of the government by the people may be denied permission. See, our Constitution ensures that the persons accused of various offences also would get sufficient protection. We often tend to believe that anyone who is charged with some offense is guilty. However, no one is guilty until proven. It is also necessary that a person accused of any crime should get adequate opportunity to defend himself or herself. To ensure a fair trial in courts, the Constitution has provided 3 rights. Firstly, no person would be punished for the same offense more than once. Then the second one is, no person can be detained for the offense committed before the enactment of law, which is prospective in nature. And lastly, no person shall be asked to give evidence against himself or herself. So, don't you think that knowing about fundamental rights all at once is hectic? Yeah, I know, it is hectic. Let us know it step by step. In the next episode, we will come up with other fundamental rights and some of the milestone judgments which conveyed the importance of fundamental rights. This brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you for tuning into our podcast. Stay informed, exercise your rights responsibly, and be an active participant in the building of a stronger and more harmonious India. Stay tuned and follow us for more episodes. Thank you.